How's it going, guys? Thanks for joining. Who's in? Like to comment? Just going to wait for a couple of minutes, see who jumps in. Thanks for joining. Trust me to have some issues with connection. But we'll see how we go. So, who's in tonight, guys? Thanks for joining. How's it going, Jay? Thanks for joining, mate. So, just let me check a few things. My phone's playing up as usual. See how that goes. And let's see. So like I do, I just normally wait for a couple of minutes to see who jumps in. First couple of minutes, just in case they've skipped the intro. I'm vaping on the Blotto RTA, still on the Zenith iJoy Maxo Zenith mod, 1880650. Right, Jay, I have juice that I cannot talk about. It is a dessert flavour, but the guy that makes it for me wants me to keep it dumb. So let me just explain something now. You've probably noticed on the live stream, I want to, where's my finger? I want to address this, the watermark. I'll have it on my stream for a couple of streams because it's now a premium offer. So bear with me, it will eventually disappear. So let me take that off because I can't have more than one thing on my screen at once now. But it's what I call my G14 classified juice. It is a dessert flavour, but that particular one I cannot tell you what it is. So I'm just learning now that I can't have more than one thing on my screen, more than two things on my screen at once. Hence that watermark in the corner there. Dalton, thanks for joining. How we doing this evening, tonight, or wherever you are? But the coils that are in here and what was in last week's tank, so I haven't wasted the coils that I built. I did put it in here. So the build that I did last week is in this tank. So what are you doing, Dalton, today? How's your day been? Thanks for joining, by the way. Right, guys, let's get started. So welcome to this week's live. The best way to support this channel is to like and subscribe. There's also a buy me a coffee link pinned to the top of the comments if you want to buy me a coffee. Keeps me behind the camera and bringing you good content. Right, so today we've got a drink, which I've got there. We've got some vape mail, which one person in the chat already knows about because he's the one that sent me it. So got two, got one there. This one I'm excited about. If you see my social medias, you'll see that I've posted this one and then this one that came Monday. Both from the same cell. So we're going to open them, make a coil. Obviously, one of the packages is what I'll be building on as well today because it's a kit. So you'll get to see, obviously, in the vape mail what we're building on and what I'm going to be using as well. So let me keep an eye on chat. I try to keep an eye on chat, but every now and then I do miss comments, so I apologize now. All right. Can't be bad napping and taking the dog out. So today's drink is, or the first drink of tonight is this Vocation Brewery Naughty and Nice Chocolate Stout. A chocolate stout is my favourite drink. It's a 5.9%. It's been in the freezer, so it's nice and cold. Thanks to everybody that's just joined. So let me just crack that open, ready. Glass that's also been in the freezer, nothing special. I just drink my beers out of this. So let's go in for the pour. Hopefully Henry will keep focus good tonight, which is what I've called the camera of my phone. So there we are, nice little head, nice thick rich stout there. Big head on there though. So cheers everybody. Dipping in, dipping out, who's here, and also hashtag replay crew. Cheers. So I'm going to have a taste of it first. Smell the coffee. I have had this one before on one of my previous streams. So it is one that I've had before. And I've got stuff dripping on my thing, on my chair. So that's nice. That's nice and chocolatey. It's more of a sort of like a rich dark chocolate is what I'm getting off that. So I'm going to pair that with what I'm vaping on tonight, which is that. The Bonza and the Zenith with the dessert flavour, which I think will go well with this drink because obviously it's creamy as well. So I think they'll go together pretty nice. So thanks everybody that's jumping in and jumping out. Birdie, thanks for joining, mate. Morning. How's it going, my friend? Thanks for joining. That is nice. That's a nice pairing. Yeah, that goes very nice. Chocolate stays exactly the same as it is, dark and rich. But the creaminess in that juice as well is nice and creamy in that juice. Just brings out more the notes. So I can see already on my computer that I'm having some connection issues. It is a bit windy, so I'm hoping that it does get better. So I apologise if it's a bit jittery or breaking up on you. 3 p.m. Wednesday. That's not a problem. So I'm hoping I'm coming through all right. getting warnings galore on my computer about the connection not being great. So hopefully that'll change. It's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. So let's get started. So let's start with the vape mail. Some retro vape mail or older school sort of vape mail. It's nothing new. You'll know if I'm doing anything new or got new vape mail that I'll be doing in the stream, because the name of the stream will change it, or I'll change it to not a retro vape stream. So not a retro build and chill stream. So that's a little indication that you might not be doing something retro at that time. That's true, Birdie, that's true. And you'll guarantee it'll always do this on a live. So I'm working with one camera. So I will be moving it about. I'll get you positioned and we'll get some vape mail opened and see what I bought, basically. So I don't know if I did mention the person that I did buy it off was Jay Whitting. That's in the chat now. And the one that came today, I asked him yesterday to get it out ASAP so I could have it for today's stream, because originally I wasn't going to be getting it this month. I was going to get it next month. So a big shout out to Jay for obviously the bits that I've bought and obviously getting this one out to me a bit really quick for tonight's stream. So I'll bend you down so you can more or less see what I'm doing. So I'll start off with the box. So this one is already been opened. I did want to clean one of the mods in here. One's a bit scratched up, but I'm not bothered about it because you don't see it when there's an RDA on. Plus it's used, and this package I got next to nothing, and plus one I've got that's a duplicate that I've already got. So there we are. No, it's not a new camera, although I probably could do with a new camera because I'm just currently using my phone. So I'll get this one out first. So that's just a Noisy Cricket, OG Noisy Cricket. I do have a black one. I did want one in a silver, which I've got one here now, which seems to look more or less brand new. I don't know if this one's being used. Jay, has it been used? Oh, I'll definitely get some use out of them, Jay. Definitely. So, already know I've got a black one. There's a silver one. That's what came in this one. And the other one is a Wismec RX 300 Gen 3. Triple 18650. So it's the third generation of the RXs, I believe. So that's the top. So that isn't dirt. I did think that was dirt. Some of it was dirt, I won't lie, but that's just because of RDA use. And this is a used item, so I'm not that bothered. So that's just paint. I did clean up the threads nice as well, and the 510 pin. But like I say, you don't see that when there's an RDA or an RTA on top. So I'm not bothered. It's in pretty good nick. Battery door, the sliding battery door. Right, thank you. Hi KJ, thanks for joining. I want the V2 as well, KJ, but I haven't found one yet. Because I believe the V2, you could use it in parallel series without having to swap it or use the batteries. You just flip to switch. So the RX Gen 3, 300 watt. So that's what came in the first package. I'll just get them out. I have done a bit of shuffling about in my room as well because I've had to put an extra shelf in as well. Let's get that out of the way and that in the bin. I have got a bin underneath my bin, so I'm not just throwing stuff on the floor. Is that the V2 Birdie you've got in white? Yeah. So I'm just going to get this out because I don't know where the barcode and everything is for this. Oh, the Wismec. Yeah. I do have the OG in black. The first one. So where's the QR codes on this? Or websites? Nope. So this is the one that I'm most excited about. And it's a Bonza kit. Now, don't know if these are Sam's markings. I don't believe Jay knows if it is, but it's weird because this box looks familiar. So I don't know if it's another YouTuber I've seen it. I've seen it on Sam's video that is giving it signed ones to Patreon, or when he was at an expo. But the box does sound familiar. Does look familiar, but like I say, I don't know for definite if that's Sam's handwriting. But it is a rainbow. The only thing I don't like about this is the colour, but not to worry, because I will eventually be getting it coated from Candy Custom Coatings off Instagram. So there we are. So this is also used as well. So we've got the Bonza 1.5 and the Bonza Mech in rainbow. So let's see what we get in the box. You get a acrylic sleeve, because these do have sleeves. If you don't know, just there's a sleeve there. And a spring, spare spring. It comes with magnets pre-installed. So I'll just pull these out and see what else is in there. So nothing stuck under there, is there? So there's an O-ring just for where you put your sleeve, and there's nothing else in there. Hoping for the spares for maybe the RDA, but not to worry at all. So that's basically what you get in the box. Oh, I'm so excited for this one. So let's have a look at the RDA. Obviously rainbow, I don't like rainbow, you know, so like I say, this will eventually get coated. So this is used as well. I'm trying to get this so it's not so glary so you can see it. But yeah, Bonza 1.5 on there. So screw for negative post, protruding center 510 pin. Honeycomb airflow on both sides. Let's pull that off. So let's have a look at the top cap. So the drip tip, I don't know, is this the original drip tip, Jay? Because obviously I don't know. So yeah, 1.5 with the airflow and the step down for adjusting. So I've never had one of these guys. I've never had a Bonza kit. I've never tried the OG Bonza RDA, but I'm sure I'll get round to getting one at some time. Bonza logo there, nothing on that side. And then airflow you can cut off like that, or you can step it down by closing the top row and then obviously the second row, and proper dialing in that airflow down to even one hole. Yeah, definitely not a pre-facelift. So let me just pull this off. Boy, that's on there. There we are. So that's the top cap, domed inside, like that, and the deck. So nice deep deck. This has been used as well. So you've got clamp system, and you've also got your post hole system there. Yeah, true. I think most of it, I think there's an O-ring there that would have been nice. I'm sure I've got some O-rings somewhere that will fit this. But yeah, flathead screws. So let me just get a flat screwdriver. There we are. So flat screwdriver. So you've got post holes. Oops. Without losing the post screw, and then obviously clamps. And clamp system just there to adjust there. And there is a stopper on there to stop it from going down. So there. So a leg goes in one of the clamps and then one of the top holes, like that. What I'm going to do very, very quickly is just to make sure is I'm just going to go around it with a bit of isopropyl alcohol. Just to clean that deck up just a little bit more. But some of that is obviously wear and tear as well. There we are. And then obviously at the top, just here. So, going to open these up. Sorry guys. And I've just gone and messed up. Nice one. So the first mess up of the stream is that block has just fallen out. Just my luck that it happened on a live stream. Can I get that in there? There we are, nearly had it. I should have known this was going to happen. So, sorry guys. I just want to get this block back in. It's not going to beat me. Well, I hope not anyway. Let's see if some curved pliers will work, which I think it probably might. There's the slightly thinner. And we're back in business, guys. And we're back in business. Thanks for being patient. But yeah, blocks back in there, like so. So that's the RDA. Sorry, try not to take too long on this. So there is the mech. It is a hybrid mech. So hybrid mechs, you need to make sure you have a protruding 510. Let's get this up, get rid of that, put that up. So the one on the left, don't use on the hybrid mech mod. One on the right, you need to use on a hybrid mech mod. That center pin has to be protruding away from the 510 threads or stainless steel 510 threads. So the one on the left, don't use on a hybrid. One on the right, you can use. And also, do not use a sub-ohm tank on a hybrid mech mod. Just don't do it. Just don't do it at all. It's not worth it. So there we are, hybrid mech mod, vaping bogan engraved on the top there. So the sleeve just there, that does move. It will move it so you can line up your logo with your RDA. It does break apart from the middle. You do have a plastic sort of like Delrin piece on the inside to protect your battery, extra protection, also protection at the top there. So inside is your 18650 battery sleeve, which I will not be using. And this, just let me put some stuff away. So thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for joining. So that's the inside, that is your switch. Now I do like the switch, the way that's designed. So let's take switch out. So threads are nice and soft and smooth. Magnets on the inside. Threads are a bit dirty. I might clean these up right now. And that's the inside. So also the bottom piece also has that dowel ring in there to do that. So what I'm going to quickly do, because I want to clean this switch up, I don't want it to be dirty. So I'm just going to unscrew this pin, which is a silver plated copper pin, if I remember correctly. So it does have magnets in there. I don't know if they're removable. They are. So I'm hoping that I can fit this in the end of my drill. So when I cleaning anything mech wise, I do put it in my drill. Now I do have a polishing jig for my mechs, but when it comes to switches and stuff, obviously I polish with my drill. Hi Leander, thanks for joining. So I've just put it in there. I haven't tightened this up, just finger tight. Get that in there. I'm using obviously a rag, and I'm just using some Brasso pads. Should work fine. So let me just quickly clean up the switch, and it might help if I'm plugged in. So let me get this plugged in underneath here. There we are. Hopefully my mic is drowning out the sound. So I'm just going to like that without getting bits everywhere. And that is the end of the switch, all polished up. So that doesn't look very clean, those threads, so I will clean that. So I want to clean these threads as well. So I'm just wondering, it probably won't. No. Yeah, that's not going to help me in any way. So I'm going to clean them up. I'm going to use this drill that I use to build on. I do have some little attachments that I use like that for polishing and stuff. And I'm also going to be using liquid Brasso for this. So I'm cleaning it because I want the best connection. Obviously when I'm using it, I want the best connection. So a couple of minutes just making sure everything's nice and clean will obviously make all the difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dip this in a little bit of Brasso just to help. And then obviously I've got somewhere stable to obviously just clean these threads quickly. So I want to do it quick. Like I say, this will make all the difference when using it. And it's essential with mechs to keep all the threading and stuff nice and clean. So I'm just going to go around. I'm going to make sure everything's nicely polished off, including these little bits just here. Like that. So yeah. And then I'm just going to wipe it off. And that does look a lot better. A lot better. So these are just things that I use for cleaning and stuff. So straight away, those threads are much better and a lot more cleaner, which is important. Obviously, if you're using a Mac, all the threads, stuff like that, needs to be clean. So that those threads are a lot better and will make a better connection. All nicely polished up. So what I want to also do is quickly true, always use good batteries as well. And then obviously making sure that your RDA as well is not, like I showed you, make sure you've got protruding pin as well. So I'm just going to touch that with a bit of that. And I just want to do the inside of that thread there where the pin goes in. And pull that out. There we have. So that's nice and clean. So thanks for everybody that's just joined. I'm just cleaning up this switch. And that bit's clean as well. So let me just quickly assemble the switch back up, making sure my magnets oppose. So magnets to oppose, which that one does. So it's nice and square, the button, so it doesn't spin on you. So my pin So pin looks fairly clean. So I want to get that in and set just there. So let's have a drink. Cheers. All right. I might have to try that, Birdie. Thank you. Thanks for the tip. So I'm just going to make sure that's still shiny. Just let me move this on. I need to quickly clean my hands. So I'm just going to quickly go clean my hands because I've obviously got this brasso and stuff on and I don't want it transfer into anything that I'm building. So just get that there. So I'm just going to go quickly wash my hands, guys. So stay put for a couple of minutes and I'll be right back. Hang on a minute, let me just check the comments. I might have to find that Birdie and give that a try. Thank you for that tip. So I'm just going to quickly go wash my hands, guys. I will not be long. And I'm back, guys. That didn't work right, did it? Right, let's get back to business. Right, so hands are nice and clean, back to how they were. So I'm just going to move some stuff out the way. But yeah, switch is nice and clean, threads are nice. And that's the switch. And the threads in there are good. So just going to pop that back in there like that. So that's what it looks like just there like that. And like I say, this does come off. I've got model 295. So I want to just see what the acrylic bit looks like. That's what that acrylic sleeve looks like on there. But for now, I'll keep it all the same, all original, with the sleeve that comes pre-installed on there. And there we are. So that's what we're building. And that's what it looks like, obviously, on there. I like the size as well. Let me just give this a quick measure. So you're looking at 27. Yeah, about 27 millimeters in diameter. So that's what we're going to be vaping on today. So we'll see how that goes. I've got some 21700s just finishing off charging. So let's get set up. I want to do a interlock alien for this one. So let's get started and let's get set up doing what we're doing. Keep an eye on chat. So appreciate it, guys. So let's move just that out of the way. So I'm using this drill like I always do to do my coils. I do have a little table that I've cut down. I do like it this way just so my coil making is within my eye view and it's not down. So I want to obviously use my core holder, keeps all my wires flat. We're doing multi-core builds, and I did get this from the Handy Coil factory in France. I'm just using that just to clamp it down to my bench. Keeps everything nice and together and steady while I'm doing stuff, and it doesn't move about as well. So I'm also using my swivel, my normal swivel, which I didn't take the wire off from last week. So I'm just using a normal bench vise. Let me move that down. So I'm just using a normal bench vise, if I can talk properly. So normal bench vise that I just screw to that, block of wood, hook, 2 ball bearing swivels that did come with this kit, this Daedalus Pro kit. But you can get ball bearing swivels online or a fishing tackle shop, and just go for the ball bearing swivels. Don't go for anything less than ball bearings because they'll just snap after 1 or 2 uses, or even first use, because obviously the tension and stuff that it goes through. So that's my swivel. So interlock alien is a lot like a normal alien, only that your core wire or your alien part or your D core is parallel wires going all the way down. But I will explain that more when we get to it. So I'll be using my preferred wire, 26 gauge NI80 and 36 gauge NI80. So I'm going to stretch some wire and get myself 2 equal length cores. It is going to be a 3-core alien, but for my D core I need a slightly longer wire. So soft wire, grabbing it at one end, just give it a good tug till it feel a bit of resistance, and it'll be nice and straight like that. So what I'm going to do is I like to have extra wire, as I say in all of them. So I'm going to do 2 at 30 centimeters because I want room for chuck if I need to trim or make any adjustments. I'm not having to cut off a fresh piece of wire. I can just stick with the same. So always cut off slightly extra than you need. Same again, I'm just going to grab the wire, give it a little tug till you feel a bit of resistance, and then it'll be straight. And same again, I want 2 at 30 and 1 at 40. The 40 centimeters or 400 millimeter one is what we'll be doing our decor off. So that's my 2, 30 centimeters, 300 millimeters. So this piece I'm going to be doing 40 centimeters and 400 millimeters. So 30 centimeters for our American friends is 12 inches, but I don't know what it is for 40. So like I say, make sure you've got extra chuck, swivel, extra as well. And you just need slightly extra wire to do slightly a bit more decor for the actual wire that you're using. Otherwise, you'll find that if you do on the same size wire as the first 2 that I've done, you'll find after you stretch and everything and you're doing your Clapton, you might run out of decor before you get to the end of your wire. So I'm just going to move 2 of these away so they don't get snagged or bent or anything in any way. I'm going to have a drink. Cheers, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, or hit that like button. And if you wish to do so, there's a buy me a coffee link at the top of the chat. So make sure that my locked focus is off. I will need these, like I say, because I'm blind and I cannot see. And it also helps me get a closer look at what I'm doing, obviously, with the wires. So I'm just going to open this. I think I might have wire in there from last week's stream. So I'm just going to make sure I pull that off. Put that down. So same as a normal alien, when you're doing your decor, you want to do it the reverse way of you feeling comfortable wrapping. So with mine, it's anti-clockwise, because I like to wrap my alien part clockwise. So this is what I forgot to do last week, is just put a little L in there for this part of the chuck. It just makes it easier for mounting the wire for when I'm Claptoning. So there is a ridge, a center ridge in there, so your wire lays flat. So I'm going to lock that in. So this is why I like to have extra wire, because obviously for this, and then what I'm putting in my swivel. So I'm just going to bring my swivel along. I'm going to put another L in this side of the wire. And that's just for wrapping around this swivel bit just here. So I'm going to grab my swivel, hook that loop on, pull this way, holding tension. Then with that tail end, I'm just going to wrap it around and lock that bad boy in. I'm going to tension this up a bit. Make sure your swivel isn't jammed like that. So I want not a lot of tension on there, obviously more tension than that. You want to make sure that about like that is fine. You want your swivels to obviously move as well when your drill is spinning, like that. So I've got my drill in the reverse way of which I'm doing. So what you're doing is basically a Clapton. So I'm doing a 3-core Clapton. So you're Clapton off the same size wire, which is 26 gauge. So what's going to happen is I'm going to Clapton the wire halfway down the wire, and then I'm going to stop. And then once I'm going to do that is I'm going to feed another wire in between the first wire and then Clapton it all the way across. And then what this end will do is it'll move to the end of here like that. It'll move up like that. So I know it might sound a bit complicated what I've just said to you just then, but you'll know what I mean when I get going. So what I want to do is first, I just want to Clapton it with one wire halfway down, stop, then Clapton it again in between the wire that's already on there till it goes all the way to the end. If that makes sense, guys, I hope that makes sense to you. So I'm just going to measure my wire, make sure I know what I've got here. So I've got 30, 36. So I need about probably 18 centimeters of first wire, which is what I'm going to do now. So 36 gauge is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to load it, then I'll get you close so you can see basically what I'm doing. I'm going to try anyway, and hopefully Henry here will play ball, because he hasn't been past couple of streams, but I can't put it all on my phone because I do run beta software on my phone as well. So I'm just going to lock in this focus so you can see what I'm doing. Move away slowly so it stays focused. Like that. So with that tail end, I'm just going to load my wire. I want to wrap it anti-clockwise, so I'll be feeding my wire from underneath the wire. So I'm wrapping from underneath this way because I prefer to wrap that way. If that's the way you like to wrap, say like you're doing a thingy over the top, do this part under the top, under the bottom. If you're opposite way, then do this part over the top for your final wrap to be underneath when you're doing your alien part, or in my case, interlock part, which basically is what the interlock is doing the parallel wire and then stretching it like an alien, like you would an alien. So I'm just going to load this loop on there, onto that bit there. That's sticking out, or I'm going to try. And that just works better than last week when I fed it on that. It's just a lot better. So 90-degree angle, I'm just going to do a couple of wraps. So 90-degree angle, normal Clapton. I'm not holding my spool very tight, and I'm going to go halfway down. Once I get halfway down, I am going to measure it because you will get a bit of recoil back when you cut it. So I want to do slightly extra. So let's get going. So I'm going to do the hold the spool just very lightly. I'm keeping an eye on the wraps, making sure they're consistent. So like I say, 90-degree angle, not holding my spool very, very tight. I want to be able to obviously move that core wire off the core. I want to be able to move the Clapton part off the core wire. So I want the Clapton to be able to move. So like I say, I'm just going to do this to about halfway, and then I'll stop just slightly before, and then I'll measure how much I've got. And like with a normal alien, you will get a bit of recoil, so you will lose a bit. So I will go slightly more than what I need just to help with that slight recoil, that spring back that you get. So after I've done this first wire, I'll go to the start again, and then Clapton in between this first Clapton. So you've got like a parallel wire. So thanks for everybody that has stayed, everybody that's dipping in and out. I understand if you just use pre-made coils, this might not be an interesting part of the video for you, which is understandable. I get that. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to adjust my camera. I'm just going to keep it going because I'm going to end up at this point again. So I'm just going to Clapton to the end, and then once I do my second round, then that's when I'll move my camera so you can see obviously what's going on as it's going. So one of the reasons why I wear this is because I can see a lot closer. I can check consistency of stuff that I'm doing. And if you mess up, this is the only time of the build you can go back on yourself, correct it, and then carry on. So I'm just sitting back and looking. I'm just going to stop round about just there and give this a quick measure. So it was 36, so I'm wanting about 18 centimeters of Clapton. Which I'll do that. Which is more or less what I've got. But to take into consideration that recoil, that little bit of spring back, I'm just going to go a little bit more. So same as normal, leave a little tail on there because obviously you want a tail for stretching, to help with the stretching. So I'm just going to chop that off. Had a bit of recoil there. So I'm just going to check the length of the part that I've got Claptoned, which is more or less where I want it to be. Let's have a two. So we're already running over an hour, guys, so I appreciate it. Cheers. And a two. That's some good juice. I wish I could tell you, I really wish I could tell you the juice, guys. I really wish I could. But obviously I can't. So what I'm going to do here is I want to make sure obviously that it moves. And then I want to just separate maybe a first bit of wire just there. So I'm just going to change my lens so I can just get a slightly closer view of obviously what I'm doing. So yeah, I've got a bit of a gap with that first wrap just there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let's have a look. So Henry's not focusing properly, but there is a gap in with that first wrap, which is what I need. So now I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to load my wire onto here, and then I'm going to Clapton again in between this Clapton that I've already got, which creates that interlock effect on your coil. So what I want to do is, first of all, I want to obviously load my wire in there to get it anchored down. There we are. And then very carefully, I'm going to position, hopefully, this wire in between, which I think I have. So I'm just going to do a few wraps just to see if I've got it right, which I have. So I'm starting my Clapton again in between the Clapton that's already on here, which I have done. So same again, 90-degree angle like you're doing a normal Clapton. If you go back on yourself, you can just undo it and correct yourself a bit. Doesn't always work, but majority of the time if I've done it, it has worked. I want to be holding my spool just slightly tighter than I was the first time around, but not so tight that it won't move off the core wire, but tight enough to obviously Clapton in between that first Clapton just there. So I'll get going, and then once I start getting off screen, I'll move it so obviously you can see this tail end slowly move down the wire. So let me get going again. So holding it 90-degree angle, slightly tighter than I was the first time round, so it falls in between that wire, which is what I want it to do, which is what it is doing. So I'm going to pick up speed a bit, keeping that tension on there. So like I say, I am holding the spool a bit tighter than I was the first time round. '90-degree angle, because obviously I want to Clapton in between that first Clapton. So I'm just going to slow down just there. I'm going to adjust you there. Take this locked focus off so you can obviously see what I'm doing. So obviously there is a tail end just here. So that tail end, as I'm Claptoning all the way down, will move slowly to the end. So start off again. Like I say, just slightly tighter than what you were holding it the first time round. Just so it Claptons in between. So hopefully you can obviously see on the camera as well. Obviously not with that stupid watermark in the corner. You'll see this wire on here slowly edge down to the end as this is going in between. So I've got this going full pelt. It's Claptoning in between. Like I say, I'm holding my spool slightly tighter first time round, but not so tight that the wire is not going to come off the core wire, which is obviously what I want it to do. This gives you that interlock look, and it's basically just a parallel wire D-core. So as you can see, that tail end is slowly moving to the end as I'm Claptoning in between this wire. So I know people are going to be dipping in and out. I am conflicting, I think, with another streamer. So I do appreciate the ones that are still here, that are dipping in and out and stuff like that. So as you can see, that tail end is slowly creeping to the end of that wire as I'm Claptoning. And I'm hoping I get to the end before it runs out, which it isn't. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just slightly off. So I've got a bit of recoil there. I'm just going to reverse my drill and very carefully with the first wire, I'm just going to undo the wrap. I want it to be parallel with the first wire, just so it makes it easier for stretching, which is about there. So same as before, you will have a bit of recoil there, so it will move back a tidgy bit. So let me just move that out of the way. So as you can see just there, there's now two tail ends just there, parallel. As you can see there, two tail ends just there. And obviously with me cutting as well, I have had a little bit of recoil. That's why you need slightly more wire. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to decore this wire. Sorry if you can hear that. Dogs are being naughty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously slide this decore wire off the core wire. I want to chop this end as well, leaving a tail as well. I want a tail on this side as well. So hopefully now when I grab hold of that, it moves off the core wire, which is what I want it to do. I'll just move that back a bit. So I'm going to obviously chop that there. Being very, very careful obviously with this decore wire. Don't want to snag it or do anything like that with the wire. So this bit of decore is now important. Like I say, you don't want to be snagging, you don't want to be pulling or tugging, otherwise you will get imperfections obviously in your build and your wrap. So I'm just going to pull this bit off that I don't need, just makes it a bit nicer. Undo my core wire and then make sure all three of my core wires are all the same length, which is what I want to do. So I'm just going to grab my other two core wires, obviously with this wire here. I want to make sure that they're all parallel, which they are. I'm running my fingers all the way down. I want to cut that nice and flush, like that. Run my hand all the way down again. Make sure they're nice on this side as well. So I'm just going to give that a little trim as well. Like I say guys, this is why I like extra wire for stuff like this, cutting, trimming and stuff like that. So I'm going to load my three wires that are parallel to each other into this core. There is a center point like I have mentioned before. So I'm just going to make sure that that center wire is in that divot. Which it isn't. And it is now. So I'm just going to lock that in nice and tight. Thanks for everybody that's still here. I'm going to run my fingers all the way down. I want to keep this wire parallel and next to each other. I don't want it overlapping. One wire going over the other way in any way. So again, I'm going to stick an L in this side, pulling tension away from the drill, so this way, keeping the wires all nice and tight and next to each other. Then I'm going to grab my swivel and load this in. keeping it all parallel and next to each other again. So I'm going to pull, making sure this is all tight, and I'm skipping the situation here, and I don't mean to do it. All right, I'll leave it this time because I've already done it, and not everybody is going to have a wire guide. So I suppose it's good in a way that I'll do it this way, just in case you don't have a wire guide and you do have... How's it going? How's it going, Charles? Thanks for joining, brother. So I want this nice and tight and taut, all parallel like so. Just want to pull this tail over a bit and bend it like that. So I've got a little imperfection just there, but that will come out obviously with my key rings, which I'm going to be using. I was going to use my wire guide that I normally use, but I forgot to mount it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my fingers down here just again. I'm going to put a key ring just on the end just here, and then I'm going to put a key ring at the front here. As you can see there's that bolt in there, so I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to chop that off and do it again. Now, as soon as I've chopped it off, I will use the wire guide that I've just thrown in here. So the wire guide is just a bit of extra protection, keeping those wires nice and flat while doing the wrapping stage. So I'm just going to put that guide on there and move it all the way there. Run my fingers down again, making sure everything's nice and parallel. I want everything to be nice, tight and taut. So again, I'm going to put an L in there. I'm going to put an L in there, keeping it nice and tight. Load this back into my swivel. So I'm going to load this back into my swivel again. So again, keeping all the wires nice and parallel and tight, which is what I'm trying to do here. Keeping it pulled and then locking that in like so. So everything's nice and next to each other. Hold this tight again and pull. So you want it a nice bit of tension on there, which is perfect. Making sure that my swivel still moves. Swivel still moves, which it does. So again, I'm going to just mount a keyring just there at the end, about halfway. So obviously with my guide here, I'm going to put a keyring around that. I'm going to put a keyring around that, just as a bit of extra protection for me. Boy, it's gone warm. So I'm going to grab my other keyring, and then I'm going to start by putting that on there, moving that across and moving that through. So if you've just got key rings, that's good. Paper clip, something like that is fine. So that is my setup just there. So That's how I want it set up. Just like that. And then that just adds a bit of extra protection there for me when it comes to wrapping. Right, let's get to the stretch. So I'm going to be stretching my core wire. I can't tell you how to do this part of the build. I can't tell you how to stretch it. You're just going to have to, it's something you're going to have to mess around with. Try and get an understretch so you create a pinch when you're wrapping. If you overstretch at this point, then it's game over. You have to do another decore. You will have to do another decore if you overstretch. You can't recover from an overstretch. So that's when you're going to have to start again. So something you're going to have to play with. I can't say stretch it this amount of way, stretch it this amount of way, because depending on how much of wire you have, you might need to stretch it more or less. But what you're wanting is sort of like a corkscrew effect, a bit like a corkscrew, a wine bottle corkscrew. So I'm just using this. It's just a plastic clamp that I'm going to clamp on here to do my stretch. So I'm going to lock that in there like that. I've got two tails on this side which I'm going to pull with my pliers. So I'm just going to adjust my chair just a little like that. So the way I do it is by look and feel. So I stretch it and then I look at it to make sure that I've stretched it the right amount of way. So with my other two tails on this end, I'm going to grab with the other side of my pliers. You want to make sure that you are holding it tight and both wires really, really tight, because it's two wires that you're stretching, so you want to be able to keep it tight. So, and it's come off. So as you can see, it's come off like that and it's swiveled a bit. Now this happened last time. Do not panic if this happens at all, which I think will be fine. So I'm just going to mount it there. I think mounting it there will be a lot better. So again, it is a bit weird and thingy, but that'll come out in the stretch when you stretch it. So if that happens, even when you're doing just a single wire, you're not doing an interlock, you're just doing a normal alien, don't worry. Just remount and you should be good. So again, I'm going to pull this wire. I'll try to pull this wire. So I think there should be fine. So as you can see, it's straight. So I'm going to let go of that now. I'm not going to snag it in any way. I'm going to be very, very careful now. This is the important part of the build where you can't snag anything, you can't catch it on anything, because then you'll get imperfections obviously with your wraps. So let me just have a quick close-up of this. Should be good. So I'm just going to cut the tail off. That will probably snag with the carpet. Like I say, I don't want to be snagging this wire in any way. So I'm just going to thread it underneath my chair to be on the safe side. You're always wanting me to chug, John. I'm already chugging on one drink now. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to release this end like that. So cheers as well, John. Chug. Yes, guys, the best way you can support the channel is to like and subscribe. And there's also a buy me a coffee link pinned to the top of the comments if you want to buy me a coffee. Helps me stay behind the camera and give you good content as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this wire into here. Let me bring you close so you can see what I'm doing. See you later, John. Thanks for dropping in, mate. So I'm going to get here. Will that focus for me? Perfect. So that's locked in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very, very carefully just trim this end as well, just to make it slightly easier for me. So I'm just going to thread a bit through there like so, and then I'm going to push it to the end. So like always, your first part, you're establishing whether your pinch is right. Do you need to have a pinch on with your fingers, or have you stretched it just bang on where you just let it slide through your fingers? Now I'll hold it like that, straight parallel, resting on my desk like that. If I need to increase my pinch, obviously I increase my pinch. If I need to let go, I obviously decrease my pinch. Some people will tell you to twist your hand like that. I don't do that because the first couple of times that I did that, the wire feeding to the coil ended up swirling. So I don't tend to do that motion. I just increase my pinch. So if you watch my other lives, this way works for me, where I do it a bit, stop, move along, stop, move along, stop, move along. So that's the way I'm going to be doing it to begin with. That's why I'm using a key ring, and then obviously this guide just here just to help me. So what you want to do is at this point, when you're doing your alien type wrap or your interlock wrap, same again, you don't want to be 90-degree angle, you want to be slightly ahead of the game, away from your drill. So slightly at an angle like that, you want to be slightly forward with your wire. So instead of holding it 90 degrees, just hold it over just a bit, like so. Right, make sure your drill's in the opposite direction of the way you did your decore, which is what I have. So I'm wrapping over the top. Let's see what this is going to be like for me. Do I need to do a stretch? Right, so I think my stretch is just bang on, really. So I believe my stretch is more or less bang on. I do have some imperfections just here. So I'm going to start again, slowly, get my groove going again. So I do need a little bit of a pinch, not much of a pinch. So I am getting a few imperfections just there. So I do have a bit of a pinch on there. You just got to keep it consistent and keep it going. Once you've established obviously your pinch, you want to keep your pinch exactly the same. Don't increase it, don't decrease it. And keep it nice and consistent. So I'll move you down a little bit more. Start off again, get your groove, and then carry on. So as you can tell from my previous streams, I can just move a little bit faster to what I'm normally comfortable doing. This keyring method helps me a lot, especially in the lives. It does help. Makes the coil build just that little bit faster. So like I say, I'm doing a bit, moving along, doing a bit, moving along. And then obviously with this keyring method that I'm doing, I don't have that problem of my middle wire collapsing, which is why I do it this way. You can use Lego, which was suggested to me by Dave Watman from Handmade Coils. He did mention using Lego. I could not find Lego, hence why I'm using key rings instead of Lego. So I think you're out of camera view again. I'll just move you over. So I'm going to move that over again. Get my groove going again. Like I say, this helps me move just a little bit faster than me going just really slow. So far so good. So I am getting to the end of my wire. So I'm just going to pull that key ring off that's there. Move you along a bit. Let's see if I can do this last bit really good. So trying to establish a little pinch again. Trying to keep it consistent. So there we are. I've come to the end of my wire, and that's that. That is an interlocked alien. Come on, Henry. So there we are. So that's a bit better focus wise. So there is a few bits here that isn't completely consistent, which isn't a problem. It shouldn't really make a difference for what I want to do with it. I will just, well, I'm going to try, if I can get this drawer open, is just measure how much wire that I've got. Which I have enough for what I want to do here, or what I will need for this RDA. So just going to pull that off, put that in there so I don't lose it. Excuse me. Thanks for everybody that is still here. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. Appreciate it, John. Appreciate it. So there we are. Let me get this auto focus off. Let's going to cut it about there. So I will want a 3 millimeter diameter, obviously. Thanks for joining, Brian. Thanks for joining, brother. So let me put this away. Make sure that's in there properly so it shuts. And boom. Right, so let's see if Henry's going to work. There we are. A bit better. So there we are with your interlock alien. So like I said, there's a few imperfections just at the end there, but I'll use them as legs. That's not a big problem. Right, so let me just refresh that. So vape. So I'm hoping so far that the streaming has been all right and not jittery, because I have had a warning on my laptop to say that the connection's not great. So I'm hoping that I haven't been jittery or anything, and it's all been okay for you. Beautiful. Cheers again, guys. Wow, we're nearly an hour and 40 minutes in, and I haven't even got the coil build done. But saying that, I did want to clean a few things, so that's why. So let me just grab my building mod off the shelf, get some batteries in there, because obviously I want to build on a regulated mod because I'm using a Mac. So if you're using a Mac or just getting into Macs, make sure that you have a regulated device to obviously fire your coils and stuff on. Don't do it on your Mac. I can't say I've never fired coils on my Mac. I have, but obviously I know what I'm doing and what I'm looking out for. But if you're new, don't do it. I mean, even now, I don't do it. Back in the day, I did used to do it, because we had little ohms readers to tell us what we want. So I'm just cancelling out my mod. I am going to turn it off for the time being. So if you've just joined or anything, Brian, Enoch, I'll be building on the Bonza 1.5 that came with the Bonza kit and mech. So I'm running a bit over time now because I did polish up that button. So it's nice and shiny, copper button. It says Bonza on there. So let's get this built. So I want 3mm diameter, 5 wraps. So I'm going to be using my Coil Master jigs and thing to put my jig in. I want a 3mm rod. So this kit goes from 1.5 to 4mm, half a millimetre in between. So let me just check my wraps, because like I said, there is a few imperfections in there. Like I say, I'm doing these coils for myself. I'm not selling them, so it's not a real big issue for me. Obviously, if I was selling them or anything, I would want it consistent. So I'm holding the flat end to the jig. So like with normal aliens, you have one flat side and one side with a slight ridge. You want the flat end against your rod. You want that curve at the top of your coil, so it's good with the juice. It wicks well with the juice. So first wrap is always your tricky one, so make sure it's nice and tight. Which is like that. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what I'm going to just quickly do there here, because of the slight imperfection in the coil in the wrapping, I'm just going to take a quarter of the wrap off. So there we are. So we've got 5 wraps just there. So I'm going to wrap from the opposite side and work my way into the middle. It's just the way I do it. There's no reason behind the way I do it. I just do it that way. I just find it easier if I do it that way. So 5 wraps again. First wrap is your tricky one, so make sure it's nice and tight. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. And that's 5. And if I need to do any adjustments with the legs, I need a slightly longer leg. Obviously, I can do that. So I'm just going to take a quarter of a wrap off there and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop that more or less parallel off there like that. Now normally with my extra bits I will keep for my borrow, but there's not enough there, so I won't be keeping it. I'll get you a close-up of these coils now that they're wrapped. Seeing as that Henry's been playing ball today, watch him prove me wrong now. There we are. There we are. So interlock aliens. Five wraps, 3mm diameter. So I'm going to keep hold of my coiling rod, because obviously I want to use it for mounting purposes. So I'm going to pull you down so you can see what I'm doing. So my 2 middle post holes are open. I'm not going to make that mistake again, opening it too much and the plate falling out. So obviously one side has negative and one side is obviously positive. So if you haven't seen, obviously that's the configuration. Nice deep juice well there. So let's get these mounted. So I'm going to Same like a velocity style deck. I've got one leg up, one leg down. I'm going to put one leg in one of the clamps and the other leg in through the hole. So I'm just going to put it there. I'm going to just lock that in slightly. And what I mean by slightly is I'm not going to crank it down too much until I get everything set and how I want it. So obviously I'm going to be pushing across. So hence the reason why I haven't locked down the post holes completely, because obviously I want a bit of room for manipulation of the coil. So that's nice, just like that. So I'm just going to lock down those leads a bit tighter. So I have a bit of wiggle in my negative post. So I'm just going to make sure that negative post is nice and tight. There we are. So that's not moving. I'm just going to also make sure my center pin is nice and tight as well. Just notice a little bit of movement there when I was screwing the post screw down, or the post, the negative down. So that one's locked in there like that. Mount the next one in. So it's obviously a right nice easy deck to build on as well. So I'm just going to get that in there, maybe release that a bit more. There we are. So same again, I'm just going to position in a way where I've got room to obviously manipulate the coil, which is about there. Hope I'm still in camera view. Thanks, Charles. Appreciate it, my brother. So I'm just going to lock that down again. Get that clamp down. So I'm not, like I say, I'm not going to crank down. Rob, how we doing? No, this is the 1.5 Bonza Robin, or Rob. So I'm just going to obviously manipulate, center it, lift it if I need to, which I do want to lift it slightly like that, and get it centered like that. So this one needs a bit more pushing over. There we are, that's a bit better, more centered. And the way I'm looking at it, it's not overlapping over there, so it won't intrude onto the barrel. Now, just cut your legs, watch your eyes. So it's nice and easy to get in there. So I said. So I am struggling a bit with this leg. There we are, that's better. Plus that. And hopefully I won't have the same issue with that leg. There we are. So just need to move these coils a bit because I did disrupt them. So that's where we're at. Come on, Henry. Focus. So that's where we're at. 5 wraps, interlock alien. So, Robin, my preferred cotton is Kendo Gold or Kendo Gold cotton. It is one of those which is hard to get hold of. So I get it when I can. So Kendo Gold is my preferred. Normal Muji Japanese organic cotton or Firebolt cotton is what I'll tend to use the most. Currently, I am just using this because I got a deal on so many packets because I couldn't get Kendo. I couldn't get the Kendo cotton. But yeah, thank you, Brian. But yeah, I tend to go with Firebolt, so I'd go Kendo, Firebolt, and then Muji. All works good for me. And I've used a lot of cotton back in the day as well. So I'm just going to put the mod back on. So I'm just going to zero out the mod. Is this a new coil? Yes. So as it's sitting now, we're at a 0.1. Obviously, I'm not going to dry burn it at 80 watts. I will turn it down to about 30 watts, 35 watts, should I say, just to get some heat through there. And then we'll see where it stands after a bit of heat and pinching and pulsing. Yeah, it can do. That RM1, it can do. I mean, I vape a lot of dessert juices, but I think it goes with the territory for gunk nut. But I also understand what you mean with this one. Yeah, it can gunk up. I do find with Kendo Gold, it's such a clean cotton. Even if you're vaping dessert juices, it doesn't tend to gunk up. And it's got a right high heat resistance as well. So if you've got a dry coil, you can take a couple of hits before you get a burnt hit. So it's got a right good heat resistance on it. So let's get these coils a bit heated up and get going. Let's get some heat through them. So there we are. Let's get some heat into them. Don't forget to do a bit of strumming. Slowly getting some colour in there. I am going to go up a bit more because I need a bit more heat. So I'm going to go up to 45 watts. There we are. So keep strumming. You want to get all your hot spots out. And if you're just new to making coils and you don't understand what I mean by hot spots, they're like little lightning bolts in your coil, which you must work out. You don't want that at all. Yeah, I do recommend Kendo Gold. I think if you go on eBay, there's one person that sells them there on eBay. And I just hope I don't get a strike for telling you that now. But it is cotton. So there is somebody there. YouTube, I'm not promoting or anything. This is cotton, which is totally different. You want some cotton to soak up earwax. I don't know. So like I say, introduce the heat, get the heat in there, keep strumming. I do tug on them a bit and separate them. I've got some nice colour going through these, some blues and some gold. Just quickly show you that there now. Some blues and some gold. Heating it up again. Strumming. Don't forget to strum. Just work it out. It'll eventually come out after working. And then they'll start glowing from the inside out, which is what you want it to do. You want it glowing from the inside out. And if you do get a situation where you are getting hot spots or those lightning bolts, just stick your coil jig through the center of it. Sometimes does help. So I can still see some lightning bolts in there. So yeah. So I'm going to try and get it so you can see. So there is, can you see those slight lightning bolts in the middle? Now they're not there now because it's gone and worked itself out. So yeah, there were little just lightning bolts in there, but they will eventually work themselves out. I'm just going to quickly go around and check my post holes. Make sure the heat and everything hasn't made anything shift or anything, because they were just slightly a bit loose there. Let's try again. Yeah, that's a lot better. So those post holes did just back out a tidgy bit. And as you can see there, they're looking perfect. So yeah, they're nice and perfect. I want to let them cool down. So what I normally do at this part, after it's built and cooled down, I have a quick break to drain the main vein and grab my other drink as well, because I'm nearly finished out of this one. So just chill for a couple of minutes, guys. I will be back. I will not be long. So I'm just going to take that off, zero out my mod, let those cool down, and we'll get a final reading after. So, quick break, guys. Oh, Inican Plex. It's very good. $6.99 each. All right. I might have to take a look at them, Rob. Come on. So, like I say, I'm just going to quickly have a quick break. And I will see you in a couple of minutes, guys.
If you don't choose straight, refill and vape all day. This ain't goodbye, just a little break. More bills, more chill, more clouds to make. our minds, we keep it lit. Clouds so thick, we never quit. Be back in a jiffy, don't you stray. Relick, refill, and vape all day. This ain't goodbye, just a little break. More bills, more chill, more clouds to make. We twist and weave, it gets more than a game. Call sight, flavor on blast. Living that vape life, building fast.
I'm back, guys. Been having really bad internet connection, so you haven't been hearing the music cutting in and out. It's my internet connection. But thanks for waiting. Yeah. Chat is back up. Thanks for waiting, guys. So that's nice and cool. That's my other drink that I'll be drinking, raspberry cream soda. I have had this one once before. It's like a raspberry cream soda sour, which, if you know me, I do like my stouts and my sours. So that's nice and cool now. So let's get that back on. Is this a new coil? Yes. So that resistance has sat at 0.14 ohms, which is perfect for me. So let's wick. So like I did show before, I am using this because I've got a deal on them. It's what I'm using currently. It's not what I always use. So let's get this wicked up. So I've already got a piece here. Let's see if this fits in here nicely. So you've got some nice deep juice wells as well. So it depends on, I don't think I will get 2 coils out of one piece of wick, because it is a deep juice well as well. So obviously you're going to need wick as well to accommodate for that juice well. So I'm just twisting the end and poking it through. If you already know how to make coils and all that, just ignore what I'm saying. I'm just going through this step by step, just in case somebody's watching that doesn't know and is getting into coils. So that's wicked there just nicely. I'm going to chop them up. I'm not going to thin it out. I'm just going to fluff it up. That's what I'm going to do. So nice deep juice well. So I'm going to cut using my small scissors. Don't forget to have yourself a nice pair of small scissors. And let's have a look at that. That should hit the bottom of the deck just nice. So like I said, I'm not going to be thinning out my cotton. I just want to agitate it a bit. Now it will thin out a bit because I am using this, but that's not what I'm doing. So I'll just take any stragglers off. I just want to agitate it. And then tuck it down into there. Nice deep juice well, so it can hold a lot of juice. There we are. Trying to stay in camera, guys, so I'm sorry if I'm not. So yeah, let's hit the bottom of the deck nicely. Same with this side. So like that. I will clear it up a bit better once I'm done. So again, just give it a nice trim there, small scissors. Give it a bit of agitation, like that. And then I'm just going to pull the stragglers off, keeping it nice and fluffy. I don't want to trim it again. And then just tuck that in there like that. Just so it hits the bottom of the deck. I believe the juice well on this Bonza is 9 mils. So you can fit a good 9 mils of juice in the bottom of this deck. So that's a good thing as well. This isn't the OG Bonza. The OG Bonza, you could do a single coil. With this one, obviously you can't. It's just basically made for dual coil. So there we are. So, like that basically. Come on, Henry. So that's that there like that. And that's like that there. So I just want to move this wattage down. So it's been quite warm and I've been quite iffy with my juices at the moment. So if you know me, you know that my ADV is a dessert juice. It always has been for a number of years. But every now and then I do like a change where I'll vape something fruity, which is how I'm feeling today. With it being just slightly warm, I don't know where you guys are, but here it's been not hot, but it's been warm. So, and it's warm now actually. Obviously, I'm a bit warm because obviously I'm on camera and stuff like that. So I will be warm. Talking a load of bullshit, and you lovely people staying to hear it as well. So I appreciate it. So again, the best way to support the channel is to like and subscribe. And if you want to buy me a coffee, there is a link pinned at the top of the comments. If you wish to do so, you can buy me a coffee. Helps to keep me behind the camera and bringing you good content as well, if you wish to do so. So I'm all wicked up and everything. What am I going to be juicing it up with? So because of prison and obviously this watermark at the bottom of the screen, I can no longer have two things on my screen at once. So let me put that up. So this was a Dark Star Labs that hasn't made a return, and it's a shame because it's an only ice flavor that I enjoy. So this is ice melonade. It's very refreshing. It's just light on the ice. It's not heavy on the ice at all. If you know me, I don't do ice flavors, but it's right mellow, the ice in this. And I was quite shocked when I got it, and I did like it. So that's what I'm going to be using today. And I think it will go nicely as well with obviously my drink that I've got there. I don't think we'd be British if we didn't complain whether it was hot or cold. I don't think. It's just a British thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this juiced up, and then we'll get it on the Mac, get it onto the Bonza Mac, get it all juiced up, get you back to FaceTime, and we'll talk about it a bit. Cheers. This is my last bit of my first drink. And a vape. Right. So let's get this juiced up. My camera's not great, so I can't get you in for some nice up and closey drip action, I'm afraid. But let's get these in. Pulse your coils. You want to draw that juice obviously into your Coils. I will need a little bit more. A bit more power running through that. So I'm going to drip this nice, get those coils nicely saturated. Don't forget you've got a nice big juice well as well. So I'm just going to blur some juice on there, like Grim Green would say. Let's get that blurred up. I'm going to blur some more on there. Nice deep juice well, like I say. And that's looking nice and juicy the way I want it. Now, I'm not keen on this one that came with it. It's not the original and it's a very, very long one. So that's what she said. So let me have a look at what I've got here. I don't have many. I need to actually get some. So I'm going to go with this blue drip tip that I've got, which I think looks actually all right. So just want to get a bit of juice off there, just to put some juice on this drip tip. And that one doesn't fit, so I'm not going to be using that one. Let's go. Right, that one fits. Let's try this yellow one. Now, I know it doesn't match, obviously, with it. Oh, let me have a look here. Right. So I'm just going to push that back out. Or I'm going to try and push that drip tip back out. Sorry, guys. So got a bit of a O-ring situation going on here. There we are. Just going to nick a bit of that juice again, just to go around this drip tip, just to make it easier to vape. That sounds nice, Robin. Or is it Rob or Robin? There we are. So that's a bit better. That O-ring's not the best. So anyway, I'm going to be using this yellow one. I'm going to go fully open. Okay. So fully open. This does look as if it does have tabs on there. So I'm just going to, again, nick a bit of juice to go around the inside here. So there we are. Airflow in front. Now, what am I going to vape it on? We all know what I'm going to vape it on. So it's going to be on the Bonza. So I'm going to pop it on there like so. So remember, it's a hybrid mech mod, so don't use anything without a protruding 510 pin. And don't use a sub-ohm tank. Now, I have mentioned that I do not like the colour of this. I've never been a rainbow person, so it will eventually get coated a different colour. Like I've mentioned before, I probably will get it done by Candy Custom coatings on Instagram, and there. So I've moved my ring round so my logo is same in the same position of my RDA. So I'm going to be using this in 21700. Yeah. I got the mod. I'm running over, normally run about a couple of hours. I run over because when obviously I unboxed it, cleaned up the button as well and the threads on it. If you've been following me on social media, Robin, you know that I got a couple of packages for Vape Mail. So this was one of them. This kit plus another noisy cricket in a different colour and a Wismec Gen 3. And all from the same seller that I got these off. And then obviously a noisy cricket, which I do already have. I'm glad you like it, but I just don't like the colour. So when I do eventually get it coated, I want to go all black, a matte black, and then the logo engraving on both RDA and thingy, I want hot pink. So I got this off somebody off Facebook, and I paid 30 quid for this kit. So 21700 battery. I'm going to have to get some ODB batteries for this. So this is a 30 mech. So I will be running my battery positive side down, because if anything happens and it vents through the thingy, I want to be able to want it venting where the holes are. So it says I've got a bit of problem with my network. So if I'm juttering or anything, I do apologize. So I'm just going to pop the switch in there. Make sure nothing is going wrong or anything, which doesn't feel like it's not getting hot. So I'm just going to snug up the button and give it a test fire. That's probably one of the things that I like being a retro vapor. A retro vapor, Rob. because I tend to find old school stuff very, very cheap. And we've got power and we've got vapor. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tidy some bits away. And we'll get sorted. I'm just going to refresh this because I'm getting warning signs about me streaming. So I hope you can see me and it's all clear. Because I'm getting absolute crap internet signal. So that's us set up and ready. So let me just put a few things away and then we'll get back to FaceTime and we'll talk about it. I'll move you up here so you can see me. So you know that I'm not being rude or anything. I'm here and I'm talking to you. I'm just tidying up. And if I'm not always looking at you, I'm keeping an eye on the chat and everything. That's good, Rob. I'm glad everything's coming through clear and everything. Because it isn't on my computer or on my TV. So I'm glad it's coming through nicely. There we are. That's that. I've got that. Put that away. Put this away. Getting stuff just tidy. Like I say, it's the only time of the week that my bench and this area is clean. Because it's either got coils or stuff that I'm looking at, or I might be testing or deciding what I'm going to vape that day, what I'm going to be building on a stream. There we are. So let's get you back to FaceTime. Without dropping everything and getting wires all tangled up. So nice wide angle of my room there. If you're ever wondering what my room looks like. Nice wide angle there. I'm going to get up. I'm not going to shuffle about like a flipping jellyfish. Cheers, Charles. Appreciate it, buddy. Right, let's get this. So, like I say, I want to... This watermark here will always be here. It's just that Prison app that I use for streaming has decided to put it as a premium thing where there's a watermark. So you will have to bear with me a couple of streams. It might be there until I go premium and get that sorted. So boom. Right, guys, we're back. There we are. So we're built. Bonza kit there. So let's get the second beer open. So I've got from Vault City a raspberry cream soda and it's a sour, 4.8%. There we are, getting problems with my connection. So if it's stuttering, I apologise. So I can see it stuttering on my end a bit, so I apologise. I don't know what's wrong with my connection tonight. It's absolutely shit. So let's go for the pour. So I have had this one before in another stream, hence why I bought it again. And it has been in the freezer, so it's nice and cold. So I know this, it does taste exactly like a raspberry cream soda with that's sour. So definitely smell the sourness from it. I'll have a drink. Cheers, guys. Everybody that's here, dipping in, dipping out. Hashtag replay crew. Absolutely gorgeous, that. Now, let's pair it with this, which is the Ice Melonade, which I think will go really nice with this drink. And we'll take this for a 2. Let's go. That tastes really nice on there, but tis a bit airy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close down the top row of the RDA. Got everything straight with the logos. That's a lot better. Yeah, a lot better with that top airflow. So let me pair it with this. Great juice, that, and beautiful for an ice flavour. If ice flavours came like that with a hint of ice, it'd be delicious for me. But just ice flavours that come with too much, or even offer the same juice with an ice shot if you don't like ice. So you can either leave it out or just put a little bit in it. But so far, the only ice flavour that I do actually like, which hasn't made a comeback from Darkstar because it is a Labs, but it's just one of those things. So let's have a 2. Right. I need to explain this. So drink on its own tastes like a raspberry cream soda with a bit of sourness in there. But paired with this ice juice, you can really taste the cream soda out of it with a hint of raspberry. And obviously the ice in the juice makes it, I don't know, it just enhances that creaminess from that cream soda. Ugh, excuse me. That juice actually goes with that drink very nicely. Just want to blow my nose. Excuse me. Plus it's hot as well. So, yeah. I won't lie, I like it. I think the RDA has got decent flavour. And I do like the mech. Just don't like the colour. But like I did say, it will get coated at some point. It's not hot or anything, so battery's holding up. It was easy to build on. Can't complain about the build. Nice deep juice well to hold a lot of juice. I haven't re-dripped since I've started vaping just yet, and it's still a bit juicy. It's a bit gurgly, but not any spit back on it. And it's hitting nicely. Now, do I think it's hitting like a train? Probably not. Now, if I cleaned it a bit more, maybe I might get that. But originally, I did want this in a copper or brass or the black copper. So with this being a rainbow, it's more or less just like a stainless steel tube. But yeah, it's hitting all right. I just think it needs a better clean. But not too shabby on the power. It's not it's not shit power, if you get what I mean. It still does hit, but obviously it's not going to hit like a copper mod that is fully copper. Still nice and juicy. I haven't had to re-drip yet. No spit back, like I say, but gurgly. I love the switch. I love the design of the switch as well. Obviously not the drip tip that came with it. It's the one that I've put on there, which has struggled to get on there. The only thing that I'm obviously is getting the spares for the RDA, but I've got so many RDAs, I'm sure there's an O-ring somewhere that will fit this RDA if I need it. Excuse me. That hit the back of my throat. That drink is gorgeous. If you like a sour sort of beer, I highly recommend Vault City. They've got some really nice drinks as Vault City and Northern Monk. I can't tell you about alcohol because YouTube will allow it, but they won't allow me to tell you where to get stuff. Or YouTube is anti-vaping. As I've said before, this isn't a